So, after almost 1,000 entries, without counting the many people who just submitted a blank rectangle as France's new battle flag, here we go, the winners and honorable mentions of the Flag Designing Contest. After the almost 1,000 submissions, I went through all of them and narrowed them down to about 200, and from these I chose 115 finalists. Just a quick disclaimer, I assume all of these are original and actually belong to the people who submitted them. I reverse searched all of them and I didn't find any issues. Now obviously I can't show all of the 115 because it would take way too long to properly look at each of them. So before announcing the winners, I'll tell you how I decided and show you a few honorable mentions. I divided these submissions into three main categories. 1. Applicability. These are the flags that aren't very different in their redesign. They just simplify or slightly improve the current ones, and because of that would actually be likely to be implemented should they be proposed. The second category is creativity. These are the true redesigns, if you will. They are at times complete overhauls of the way a certain flag looks. And 3. Symbolism. These are also sometimes complete overhauls, but are focused on a specific symbol or set of symbols and use them because of their historical meaning. Then there are also 2 subcategories, which are funny flags and also flags submitted by kids or drawn by hand. I was surprised how many people actually took the time to draw by hand. That's real dedication to liking flags. And I was also surprised by how many kids or parents of kids that watch submitted their flags. These were a few of those, and it was really awesome to see. Then we have the funny ones. We obviously had the classic white French flags, but then a few cool others, like this Antarctica flag with a penguin, this Lego Denmark one, since the Lego brand is Danish, this fantastic Australia flag proposal with Austria's flag and a bunch of weird pictures upside down, a New Zealand kiwi bird destroying the world, a flag for Serbia, a flag for Tuvalu with a TV and the .tv domain which they own, and since it's very desirable, finances a big amount of their state budget, and the also classic Wales flag with an actual whale. There was also this great flag, supposedly for Croatia, of a dragon spitting fire. And then we move on to the more serious categories, if you will. I'll start with the honorable mentions in each and then announce the winners for each of the categories as well. For symbolism, we had a lot of great submissions. These are the honorable mentions. First, one of my favorites was this flag for Colombia with 3 pomegranates, because the region was initially colonized by the Spanish, which called it New Granada. Another great one was this joining of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, who share the same island, into one single nation, in the style of the flag of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. There was also this one for Brazil, which replaced the central blue circle with a face, following the traditional face painting that the native Brazilians do. This Egypt one is also great because of the color pattern, although it somewhat ignores the current Arab nature of the country. And this one for the Maldives as well, because it brings attention to the big problem that so many island nations face, of literally disappearing with the rise of sea levels. This flag of Argentina, it probably would never be applicable because of how different it is, but it has a sun, adding the Macedonia type rays, which makes sense because sun, and keeping the colors of blue and white, although with the blue in a darker tone. There was also a submission that wasn't really a flag, but a concept of creating colorblind versions of flags, so they are more easily identifiable by people who don't see color. Nowadays, I imagine telling France apart from Italy or Ireland must be difficult, and I thought this was a great idea. The last honorable mention in this category is this flag for the Netherlands. It's always bothered me how the Dutch are instantly recently associated with the color orange, yet that color isn't on their flag anymore, except in a royal pennant and an alternate flag. So I think it would be a great idea, just like this suggestion proposed, to turn the 3 stripes into 4. First of all, making it somewhat different from the other European flags and making one of the stripes orange in honor of the country's history. And then we have the winners of this category. This flag of New Zealand, which is incredibly simple but also effective, throwing the attention to the coat of arms of the nation and their symbols instead of the Union Jack. It's similar to the Cape Verde flag, and it's actually missing the stars and leaf which were in the actual proposal to change the flag, but I feel like it's more of a compromise between the two, keeping the crown and the colors, but focusing on New Zealand's identity. And the second winner for this category was this very simplified and modern flag for Spain. Focusing more on the symbols of each region, it's able to maintain the colors of yellow and red, but the focus isn't on empty stripes anymore, bringing into attention the symbols which are currently way too small in the shield of the flag. Now remember, all of these are winners, and even some others which I just didn't have time to show here. The only difference for the ones labeled as winners is that they get one of the 10 maps as a prize. The next category is applicability. There were so many submissions here that I liked, including some that were very similar, so I had a tough time deciding. Obviously, most of these decisions are just my personal opinion, so I totally get it if you don't agree, but just keep that in mind. The honorable mentions are this Bosnia one. It really bothers me how complicated Bosnia's current flag is with their half stars, and I feel like this would be a good redesign, simplifying reproduction. Then Brazil. Brazil's flag is also kind of difficult to reproduce because of the disposition of the stars. This would simplify that. It also removes the text from the flag, which I think makes 0 sense and should be forbidden from all flags. Then this Latvia one. I don't know why, but I never really liked Latvia's flag, and the simple addition of a second white stripe makes it different and more appealing to me. Then the horizontalization, which isn't a word, of the Ivory Coast flag, adding a shield with an elephant in the center. I think it's also really good and helps distinguish it from Ireland, avoiding confusion between the two. And this other one, which puts the colors diagonally and with a single white stripe in the center, is also very cool. This Zambia one was a great submission as well. I love the pattern, however I really like Zambia's flag and its unique pattern right now. This one for Chad, which also horizontalized the current flag, again that's not a word, and added a shield, making it look way cooler and different from the Romania flag. Then Albania. Albania's flag has always been a little too simple for me, and the addition of a green stripe and lighter red makes it much more modern and appealing in my opinion. But I'm not sure if there's any historical meaning that associates green with the country. There were also redesigns for Serbia and Slovakia, which I feel like would be great modernizations of their respective flags, especially for Serbia, a country with such a strong national identity, but which has a somewhat generalized flag. I think this would give both countries more character. And then the winners for this category. First, this redesign for Australia. It uses Australia's colors, keeps the constellation, removes the Union Jack, and doesn't use a kangaroo, which despite being cool and it was present on a lot of your flags, and I liked it, but I think animals on flags need to be very well chosen, and this one just ticked off all the boxes for my liking. Then we have one for Lithuania. Lithuania has the same problem as Latvia in having a somewhat boring flag, which is weird because they have such a great history when it comes to flags. This change would make the flag more interesting, turning it diagonally and permanently adding the coat of arms with their traditional symbol. Next, this one for Luxembourg. Now, there were 2 very similar submissions, and so I asked the people on the Discord server of the channel to vote on which they preferred, and the one with the stripe won the prize, although they are both very cool. And then this one for Madagascar. Madagascar's current flag is just honestly awful, and this one makes it a lot better, adding more colors and especially the central symbol, which I feel like improves it a lot. And finally, the last category, creativity. This one kind of shocked me from how good it was. All of you who submitted flags for this contest are honestly incredibly creative, and any of these countries would be doing good to change their flag to your redesigns. If you live in any of them, I would would honestly recommend finding some way of taking action and proposing a real change. So here are the honorable mentions for those. First, Cape Verde. Cape Verde's actual flag is okay, but in my opinion this would be a lot better. Now, I know I literally just said no animals on flags, sort of, but I feel like a turtle, if stylized properly like this, works almost as a symbol, and therefore looks pretty good. Then Persia, a flag that, according to the person who submitted it, refers to the region's history and past, basing the colors on the old Achaemenid Empire and the Persian dynasty's banners, with the emblem representing old religions as well as the Sassanid Empire. This flag for Chile is also really cool, drawing on the colors and symbols of natives of the region. It would be a gigantic change for the country's flag, but in my opinion a really good one. There were a lot of submissions for Egypt, and my favorite was this one, adding a green stripe in the center and replacing the eagle with a triangle, representing the pyramids and the ancient Egypt history, as well as differentiating the Egyptian flag from other Arab nations. There was also this great redesign for Ghana in the style of Mozambique, and other great ones, like this one for Kazakhstan, this for Micronesia, or this one for Sierra Leone, with a really cool pattern. Ukraine had two great proposals, which I feel like would be significant improvements on the current one. They have such a great symbol in their coat of arms that I feel like it should be used on their flag at all times. I also love this triangular sort of pattern, which someone also used on a redesign for Sweden. This flag of Catalonia also looks great. The shield would maybe need to be simplified to facilitate reproduction, but I like the combination of colors and the different pattern that it uses. Geographically right next to it, Andorra. I love this flag for Andorra. It uses the current one but simplifies it and modernizes it a lot, and that's really cool. Greece also got a few proposals, and this was my favorite of those. A simple bicolor with 3 stripes, and a national symbol on the left. Although I kind of honestly like Greece's current flag, it's kind of a mess, but a good mess. And finally, on the honorable mentions, we have this new flag for Mexico, which I 100% love, but I feel like it's missing the current symbols as well, although maybe that would ruin the simplicity of it. Oh, and also this flag for Western Sahara, the region below Morocco that no one really controls. And here are the final winners for this category and the entire contest. First, Chad. Solving the problem of it looking like Romania's flag or using the same colors, it uses the traditional native colors of the region, bringing the country closer to its African descent. Granted, I don't really like the beige/brown color either, but I think it's because we're just used to all flags using stripes and white in them. This is different from any other, and because of that, I think it's really good. Second, Malaysia. There were 2 designs that I was undecided upon, and so again, I resorted to the Discord server and asked you guys to choose. The majority of your votes went to this one, yellow, blue stripes, and then on top a third of the stripe in red with the national symbols in yellow as well. Although I also like the other one using the current stripes, but changing it by adding the yellow square and blue symbols in the center, making the flag no longer so similar to that of the US. This next one was honestly one of my favorites of all. A new flag for the Philippines, with each of the colors and symbols representing the heritage of the region, the natives, the Malayans, the Spanish, and the Americans, also noting their resistance against Japanese occupation. And the final winner, this redesign of Romania. Romania has a pretty simple flag, a vertical tricolor, and this one would make it so much different than anywhere else, with a unique pattern but keeping the traditional colors of the country. So, those are the honorable mentions and winners of the contest. If you won, I will send you an email asking for where you want the prize to be shipped. Again, the prizes are world maps, the types you can scratch off where you've been, and they were gracefully provided by our friends over at Maps International. If you didn't win, don't feel bad. Remember that this is literally just my opinion, plus a few family and friends I asked for input on as well, and those 2 that the Discord server voted on. Thanks so much to everyone who participated. It was difficult and exhausting to go through all of the flags and incredibly hard to decide the winners. But overall, I really enjoyed the process, and I think it was really fun, so we should do more of these in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a comment below letting me know your favorite flags off of all of these and whether or not you agree with my choices. Remember to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you Friday for the usual weekly video and more general knowledge.